This is Dr. Katie from Craig Chiropractic and Kinesiology, and today I want to talk about applied kinesiology. So what is that and how can that help you? Okay, so applied kinesiology, that's quite a mouthful. Often we just call that AK to make it simpler. But what actually is that? So if you're new here, you might have heard me referencing this term before, or if you're a patient of mine, you might be a little bit more familiar, but let's just break this down as it can get confusing. Now, the term kinesiology by itself refers to the study of body in motion. What does that mean? It means we're studying basically people and how they move. It could be how a person normally walks, how they go from sitting to standing, how they run, what's normal, and then what's abnormal, like if somebody was injured, how that could impact their ability to run and move, right? So the study of body in motion, very similar to things like exercise science. Now, many people get degrees in kinesiology, right? There's often bachelor's, master's, etc. degrees in this field. And those that train in that often go on to do things like personal training, physical therapy, things like that. Now, what I'm talking about today is applied kinesiology, which is a little bit different. It's a specific kind of kinesiology. We use the principles of how the body moves. So we're basically using the principles of physics and biomechanics. What does that mean? Again, those are just fancy terms to all say that applied kinesiology, or AK, is a special diagnostic tool that we as doctors can train and specialize in. So what's a diagnostic tool? Let's give a simple example. If you fall and land on your arm and you're wondering if it's broken and you go to your doctor, what are they going to do? They're going to take an x-ray, right? We all know what an x-ray is. An x-ray is a diagnostic tool. It helps the doctor see, hey, is there a fracture here? Is there anything wrong with your wrist? And helps them determine how they're going to treat you. Because it's going to be different if you have a fracture versus if you don't, what we're going to do for treatment. So, just like an x-ray is a diagnostic tool, so is applied kinesiology. It helps us understand more about your body and what you need so that we can give you specific care. Let's dive into what that looks like. So in applied kinesiology, I use something called muscle testing. What is that? Well, let's break that down. Now, unfortunately, I do not have a patient to demo on today. I'm going to try to get a patient in the future so that I can actually show you a real-life example. But just bear with me for sake of this demo, okay? So we're gonna pretend that my arm here is a patient's arm. We'll just have to bear with it, right? It's what we're working with today. So in our case, let's say this is a patient's arm. Now I'm curious and interested in this bicep muscle, right? You know, your gun muscle, everyone knows that one, your strong muscle here. Now, I should be able to go up to an average patient, doesn't matter how big you are or how strong, and be able to say, hey, don't let me push your arm down. I'm just going to take a little bit of pressure. I'm just going to push right here. You should be able to resist that. I shouldn't be able to come up to you with a little bit of pressure and say, hey, don't let me push you down, and then not be able to do it. Like, again, the muscle's healthy. You should be able to just resist just enough to hold some gentle pressure. That's good. That's normal. That's healthy, right? Anyone should be able to put their arm up, say, hey, let me push. Perfect. If I go to push on the patient's arm, say, hey, resist my pressure, and they can't do it, we know something's wrong, right? That's not normal. This muscle should be able to engage in fire. So if somebody's arm can't and it does that, what do we do? This is an indicator, number one, that something's wrong, because we know that that's not normal. I think we can all agree. Now, where do we go from there? As an applied kinesiologist, there's 3 different things I'm going to consider. We consider things like structure, nutrition, and emotion. What does that mean? Let's break it down simply. Again, remember our demo. The arm should be strong, but if I ask somebody, hey, just resist my gentle pressure, and they can't do it, they don't have it to lift their arm, we've all agreed there's a problem. What's causing the problem? So it could be structure. It could be that the muscle itself is injured. Maybe it's overpulled. Think of somebody that's like a softball player and they have to throw a lot of repetitive motion. Perhaps their muscles pulled. Somebody that's had to lift a very heavy grocery bag over and over again and then lift over. So we could be dealing with something just localized, like a muscle injury. And maybe we need to just address that. This can explain why things like PT, massage, acupuncture can be successful in helping some cases, right? Okay, so it could be structural, it could be right here. Another thing is that the nerve that innervates this area actually comes up through the shoulder into the neck to go up into the brain. If I have a slipped disc in the neck and things are pinched, it might be that the nerve is pinched down here. So it means that as a chiropractor, to help this area, I actually need to help adjust and free up this area. Does that kind of make sense? So sometimes the cause of the problem is not always right here. Sometimes it's far away and it's somewhere else in the body. So this is the structure. It could be structural, it could be a muscle, it could be a nerve, it could be a bone out of place. We want to be able to address that to help fix the arm, because you should be able to fundamentally do this motion. It shouldn't be a struggle. Okay, so that's our structural cause. Okay, let's say somebody comes in, they can't lift their arm. Again, if I try to push, they can't do it, and structure is fine. Like their neck's fine, their arm's fine, the muscle's fine. What next? Another potential cause of this arm not being able to hold is what we call the chemical or nutritional cause. What does that mean? People often have reactions, okay? Think of something like a chemical. Think of something toxic like a poison. If somebody gets an exposure to something, I mean, think like rat poison. If you were to accidentally get into that, that's awful, but we have reactions, right? Sometimes reactions can manifest in things like muscles going weak. Okay, now that's an extreme sense. Sometimes people are very sensitive to something like breathing in paint fumes, right? Some people don't do well with perfumes. I think we all know someone in our life that they just cannot be around like perfume or hairspray, right? They're starting to get a headache and not feel well. Sometimes those people, if they smell in like a perfume they react to, their muscles will actually start going weak because it's a part of the reaction. They can't detox it properly and their body reacts, okay? So again, could be a chemical component. You know, someone spraying fertilizer or pesticides on your lawn that you react to. Not everyone reacts to these things, but some people do, and it might be the cause of why the arm can't hold. Another thing is sometimes nutritional deficiencies. Sometimes people don't have enough of certain minerals or vitamins, kind of like the building blocks you need to have the energy to be able to have the muscular strength. Okay, so there's some different causes there. Sometimes people have things called food sensitivities. So I actually have some samples here. This is gluten. This is wheat flour, right? We know that some people can't have gluten. They react to it. So if we actually have them either like taste a sample of this or set the sample on their body will actually react and go weak in response to this. So we know gluten is not their friend. And we can do that with various other tests. So back to what we're talking about. We're talking about the arm, we're talking about the bicep. We're talking about what do we do if this muscle doesn't work. Again, if I try to very gently push and the person can't do it, what could be causing the problem? It could be structure, right? Actual injury. It could be an exposure to a chemical, like a reaction to a toxin. Could be a nutritional deficiency, reaction to a food. Okay? Something else that can cause this is things like stress and trauma. Okay, we don't always think about this one, but think about somebody that has PTSD. Someone like a veteran, right, that's come back from combat. We know that the memories and the PTSD have a huge impact on their body response, and it's not something they can always control. Now that is an extreme example, right? And we don't always have stress that big. Sometimes it's just little things like, oh, I have this test tomorrow and I'm really nervous. Or I don't know, I just got a speeding ticket, or I have to go to a court case, I have to be on the jury. Whatever it is, it could be little, could be big, but stress can impact us. And sometimes stress can impact things like this, especially if it's big enough for your body, where no longer can hold. Again, think of like that PTSD example. So, briefly recap, Applied Kinesiology. We are a diagnostic tool. Just like how an X-ray is for a doctor, this is a tool that helps us better understand how to treat you. Because if somebody comes in with arm pain and I find out that, hey, that bicep doesn't work, could be structure, meaning I need to adjust something as a chiropractor. It could be nutritional, meaning, hey, I need to have you avoid gluten for a while, or I need to have you on this supplement to help get your minerals up. Could be that. Could be we have to help detox you from like a heavy metal or something. Or it could be that maybe you have some stress going on and we want to help your body relax and de-stress. So, simply put, this is what we call the triad of health. We have those three sides: chemical, structural, mental, or emotional, of course. So stay tuned for a future video. I will actually try to have a patient to demo on, so it makes a little bit more sense, but I hope that clears things up. I might do a part 2 of this series, but thank you for listening today. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. Thank you.